can't hide.
All right, everybody. Welcome to ADHP with Doug and Todd. I'm Doug. That's Todd. This is the Attention Deficit Hyperactive Politics Podcast. What's up, Todd? How's it going?
Not too bad, not too bad. So, how far into this do you want to go before we talk about the movie we saw yesterday? Or do you want to do this right now?
Well, we could talk about it right now. Let's do that.
Yeah.
And we do have you might have noticed from the title of this episode, it's our first guest. We do have a guest this week. We'll be bringing him on here in just a minute. But we want to talk about Todd and I met in real life last night and went and saw Sinners. Not that Todd and I have never met before, but it'd been a minute.
It's been about a year, I think, since the last time I saw you in person. So yeah.
Yeah, drove back to Renton and went over to the Landing and saw Sinners. It was good. I really loved it.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
What'd you think, Todd?
I actually I wasn't sure what I was going to expect from it, so I kind of pre-watched it online the night before, and just to make sure, I wasn't going to miss anything if I had to dip out to use the toilet. So yeah, no, I really enjoyed it. There was a couple scenes like, I wasn't paying attention during this part of the movie, so wow, that was cool. So yeah.
Yeah, it was really. First of all, it's incredibly well made. The cinematography is top notch. The story is great. The acting, it's a really great vehicle for a lot of people to do some spectacular acting. Not the least of which is Michael B. Jordan.
Right.
Which we get Michael A. Jordan and Michael B. Jordan in this movie. He plays a pair of twins. If people didn't know that, I actually didn't know that going in. He was playing two characters.
I didn't either. And it was. I kind of knew what was the story was going to be about, but I didn't know how it was going to play out. So I
knew it was a vampire movie.
Yeah, okay.
I knew that much.
Yeah. So I mean, I was expecting something, but I wasn't sure what and when and where. And I think the way they did it was really well done. It wasn't like overtly like, oh my God, there's vampires everywhere, and it's like all the stereotypical bullshit where, you must have this in order to survive, and this, that, and the other, and everybody just seemed to know.
It wasn't a fantasy movie. No.
Right. No, it was like, this is real life.
It was very grounded.
Yeah.
And it was set in what, like 1932 or 36?
Early 30s, yeah.
Yeah, and the time setting, it's really a period piece drama that kind of becomes a vampire movie.
Right.
So it's really cool. And then just Michael B. Jordan's performances as the twins you forget that it's one actor playing the same character.
Right.
Or playing two different characters rather.
I don't know about you, but I was actively trying to figure out how they did all the doubling up of him in each scene.
It was seamless.
It was very good. You couldn't really tell. I mean, it's obvious. It's they're like using some green screen stuff, or maybe they're doing other things too. I don't know, but it felt like it was. Yeah, you couldn't really tell. It wasn't very visible.
Yeah, no, it was really great, and everybody that's a powerhouse cast in this movie.
Right.
It's character actors that you'll recognize and maybe you won't know their name, and then some more famous people, but everybody killed it. The music was good. I can't wait to see it again. My wife's gonna love it. It's it's right in her. There's some smuttiness to the movie too. That,
yeah. I was like, I don't know. Whoa. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, like some good advice is received on how to lick something like ice cream. Won't say too much.
Yeah.
But I think we both recommend it. I mean, you probably don't need to hear that from us to know that, but yeah, it's lives up to the hype for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it did better than on its first weekend than the Minecraft movie, and remember how crazy that shit was. So.
Yeah, and that surprised me just because kids movies always seem to do better at the theaters than a drama and then a rated R movie because you can take the kids and that's bonus tickets right there.
Right.
You don't have to find a babysitter to go see it. But that's we'll get into more pop culture stuff in the back half of the show. But first we have a very special guest because he's not just because he's our first guest. But everybody, please welcome Brandon Popson in here to the show. Thanks, Brandon. How you doing?
Hey, doing all right. How about you guys?
We're doing good.
Doing good,
We're
yeah.
doing good. So the reason I wanted Brandon on as our first guest is because Brandon is one of the few people I've known in real life that has had like a real, and you can disagree. Maybe I'm overselling this somewhat, Brandon, but I feel like you've had an actual transformation as a political person as an adult.
Yes. I very much used to be a hardcore conservative, card-carrying Republican. I had a conservative talk show on the local radio station in this area, basically. And I mean, I was hook, line, and sinker, red-pilled Republican. Yeah.
Wow.
That's how you were when I first met you.
Oh yeah.
And it's been awesome to see. Like we don't interact too much, but we see each other on Facebook a lot.
Yeah.
And I've definitely noticed the way you've progressed in your politics. And obviously, from my perspective, you've come to the light. Other people might disagree.
Oh, well, they're idiots, so yeah.
But that's why I wanted you on, is because most people as an adult don't change that much. Like a lot of people will grow up and then they grow into their views and then they're kind of there. Like stuff you believed when you're 25 is the same stuff you believe when you're 45 for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I've been impressed. I think it's awesome. So you started into it a little bit, but how did you grow up? Did you grow up in a religious household with conservative parents?
Yes, my parents, well, not super religious. I mean, yes, kind of. I went to private Christian school from the time I was in kindergarten all the way till I graduated high school. Like my graduating class was like 32 people.
What school was that?
It was a place called Kent View Christian. It was out here, but now it's called like Rainier. They still exist. They just have changed like buildings and stuff, but this place still exists. I don't want to get too into it, but yeah. But yeah, they still and then I went to church every Sunday. I was raised adopted an Italian family. My mom's side, and so I was raised Catholic.
Okay.
Yeah, got baptized first. Communion and all that stuff, and I actually used to be really, really into religion. Until I was about 30 years old, I was deeply, deeply religious, and that was about the time that everything started to change for me.
And that I do remember talking religion with you early on. And so Brian and I met through stand-up comedy. We were both doing open mics around the same time. Yeah, and obviously that's how we all know each other.
Yeah.
And then, are you still doing any comedy at all, Brandon?
No, I've been trying to get back into it, but man, I'm just not very social these days. So
that's exactly how I feel. I feel like the podcast is my outlet now. If I go back on stage, it's going to be just to promote the podcast.
Yeah.
But we used to talk a little bit of politics and religion. My memory of you was very much libertarian on that side.
Yes,
would you say you were kind of a LaRouche libertarian, or
more of a laissez-faire, like what do you typically think about when American right libertarians, which is they're just contrarians, if I'm going to be honest with you. That whole thing is about being a contrarian and being a Republican but not wanting to have any negative aspects of that put on you. I mean,
Republican light.
They're even worse than Republicans in a lot of ways. They're not even just light. In a lot of ways, they're a lot more extreme. When you break down what modern right libertarians believe and you ask them what they're really going for, it's actually scarier than what a lot of them believe in this like corporate fascism, essentially. They believe they're essentially neo-feudalism is what they believe in.
And it's a lot of what we're seeing come out of Silicon Valley now, and the Peter Thiels and that who's their philosopher guy that do you know his name, Brandon?
Let me take a look at this because I've actually done notes on this exact subject before for a show I was going to do.
That's who I'm thinking of.
Yeah, I was a Yarvin, who is also there. There's also boom boom boom. Yeah, basically what you're talking about is the Dark Enlightenment thing. It's called the neo-reactionary movement. There's Curtis Yarvin, there's Peter Thiel. There's also people like Nick Land, Peter Saylor, and Hans Hermann Hoppe. And these are all major Hans Hermann Hoppe, for example, he's one of the main driving force when you hear talking about the Mises Institute. He's one of those guys. Like, he's one of the higher ups on them. So he pushed that Austrian economics bullshit, all that stuff.
And then you said you were in this kind of religious right-wing mindset up until age 30. Is that what you're saying? Is that what you were hinting at? And how old are you now?
I am about to turn 41.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so you're even older than I am. I'm about to turn 40.
I'm an old man, I know.
Oh, stop.
But so it's been 10 years now since you've had. And what changed? What happened when you were 30? That
there was really one condensing moment in religion that kind of once you started questioning my religious part of it, kind of everything else fell after that.
Yeah.
But I remember I was in church one week, and I was going to this church up here in Kent. It was a Baptist church, actually. And after every single service, we would normally break off into various groups, like whatever it was, if you were like church leadership or, in my case, it was the young adults, like Bible study we do after church. And right after gay marriage got legalized, our leadership at the church, for some reason, wanted to they canceled all of the after service meetings, and we're like, we want to have one big meeting here for everybody about something, and it was all about gay marriage. And I already thought that was weird because it was like the rules already said that if we don't want in our church to do gay marriages, we don't have to do gay marriages. So I don't get this. So I was already a little bit weirded out by that. Then the next week they wanted to do the same thing. And I remember just sitting there and thinking to myself, and so basically at this point, I know that they don't have to do it, that they're just bitching about gay people.
Yeah.
So at this point, I'm kind of thinking to myself, if this was we're talking about like black people, this would be a Klan meeting. This what we're doing here is just basically a hate rally.
Yeah.
And I remember just kind of stood up and I was like, you know what? I'm done. And I just walked out of there.
That's cool. That's pretty cool to just be able to stand up and walk away, because the whole point of these church groups is to sort of peer pressure you into staying and going with the group thing.
Shaming people into doing what they want you to do, yeah.
Well, I mean, that's what I'd argue all religion is about, but we won't have to get into that.
You're not wrong.
Nothing's off limits here.
You're not wrong, yeah.
So are you an atheist now?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes.
Same.
Yeah, so after you leave there, how does this end up? Was it the religion that was kind of anchoring you to your right-wing politics?
Yes.
I think that's what happened?
Oh, yes. I think that's the case in a lot of people's, a lot of people. I think a lot of people are raised in these groups, so that is how they're told they're supposed to think, and it is their religion that keeps them as right-wing.
Yeah. And it's kind of easy to think about, like, oh, hey, if God didn't want, it's almost like prosperity gospel type stuff where it's like, oh, if we're doing well, that's because God wants us to do well, and God will take care of the poor, and we don't have to do that. I do see a lot of that in the right wing religious front, as it were.
Yeah.
So you come away, you start gradually, or is it how drastic is the change from that moment? Like, is it really just like
It's
you
been
just start look
180 degrees. I've gone completely the opposite direction from what I once
and
was.
did you start where did you turn to from there to start re-educating yourself, so to speak?
I just started reading all the books and all the stuff that we were told we weren't supposed to read. I started learning what I agreed with and what I didn't. I did read the Communist Manifesto and all that stuff. I am not a Marxist. I do not believe in Marxism, Leninism, anything like that. But I did learn that republicanism, especially the way modern conservatism is, it's basically it's a selfish belief. It's a delusional, selfish belief that's about justifying one's own bigotry, and
you could justify your bigotry, your greed, whatever you want using the Bible.
Yeah, and society is about working together, not trying to not work together. So,
Well, that's big on in my book, yeah.
And honestly, it was at a point where I was so deep into that I started looking at any viewpoints that I used to have as potentially and likely harmful. And that's how I started kind of gaining the alternate perspective. I'm like, if I used to think that, then I'm probably wrong because I was an asshole back then.
Now, to be fair, I never considered you an asshole, but I just thought you were wrong about everything.
yeah. But so, that made it easy, when you started thinking, okay, well, if everything I thought was wrong, then maybe I should read the opposite side. And that's kind of how everything stepped,
Now, what about taxes? Because I remember at one point, one of the lasting conversations in my memory that we had early on was you saying taxation is theft. Do you still take that position?
No, hell no. Fuck no. That is one of the dumbest things you can fucking say. That's one of the dumbest things I've ever said, and I'm embarrassed I did. But I know I did because I was a right libertarian, and it's something that they're told to say ad nauseum.
And what changed your mind on that? Just the reading that you were talking about before?
Just how fucking stupid that concept is. Taxation is theft. No, it's not.
Right.
It's literally like what you pay to live in a society. It's not theft at all.
Exactly. And something I've gotten into recently, I'm not finished with the book yet, but I've been audio booking the Thomas Piketty, um, what's it called? Like Capitalism in the 21st Century, something like that. And basically it's an evaluation of the 20th century more than the 21st century. But he notes that there was basically 24 years where it was actually possible to have upward mobility for the average person in our economy. And that was the 24 years where we had an extremely progressive tax rate. And it kept the divide between the haves and the have-nots it compressed basically the income inequality that we've seen explode since the Reagan era now.
Oh yeah,
right?
well, I mean, when you drop taxes on the rich, and you know, it does that.
Yeah, because my personal theory is that through acquisitions and mergers, where we have all these out-of-state national companies controlling things in the various states, everything we spend now, instead of going to mom and pop that live and work and spend their money in our community, it now goes to some out-of-state corporate headquarters that doesn't spend money here. And if we're at the same time lowering income tax rates and corporate tax rates, if we're not taking that money and returning it to the community level, all you're going to see is bankrupted small communities and an increase in the wealth gap.
Of course, because all you're doing is pushing money to one side.
Yeah, because the point of capitalism is the velocity of money, and it's all going up, and we just gotta. I almost think of it as like a fountain, where it's like we got to return the money to the base of the pump if we're going to keep the fountain going.
I mean, that's why capitalism is fucking stupid. It's just one of the dumbest fucking ways you can think about going about stuff. I don't necessarily believe in capitalism in the way it's executed right now at all.
No, because we have, and it is laissez-faire capitalism leads to feudalism. It really does. And anytime we try and do anything to make capitalism more palatable or more sustainable, they call it socialism. And it's like, that's not even what socialism actually is.
I mean, we need more socialism. Capitalism in the ways executed right now is just, like you said, it's hoarding wealth to one side. It doesn't offer any mobility at all. Back in the day, like in my dad's generation, they could buy a house off a single income. Mom would stay at home and raise the kids. That's not a thing anymore.
Yeah, they've completely. We're almost back to the jungle. I mean, with what the Trump administration's doing, it's almost like the jungle again. The FDA can't announce food warnings, and we're not inspecting things because we fired all the workers.
Oh yeah. No, like getting rid of the EPA, and he's got. Well, that's also not surprising if you think about it. The Republican and the hard right has declared war on conservation efforts since the mid '70s and '80s as hippie bullshit. So this is just a culmination of that.
Which that's always driven me crazy. It's like, since when is conservation not a part of being conservative?
You would think that it would.
It's in the word, man. It's in the word. Conserve.
I know, but words don't mean anything anymore, especially now that we have Trump. Like,
there's alternate definitions.
Yeah, alternate facts. It's insane. We don't like. Was it John Oliver who said, "What does it mean when the president says words?" Because we can't know. It can mean anything.
I mean,
first off, even when I have to go for it.
No, I was gonna say we have words like cafefe and skibbity, so.
I mean, the thing is, when Trump uses words, I have no idea what the fuck he's talking about half the time either.
Right.
Like, the guy goes on these word salad tangents that I'm still like, what?
The weave.
Oh my God.
I mean,
he's like, I always end up back on target. Only when the interviewer draws you by your collar back to the topic do you ever get back to the topic.
Yeah, I know. They're talking about your uncle at like MIT or some shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
or eating the pets.
Oh my God. I that was.
How the fuck did he win? Like,
I don't know. That was just thinking that. How the fuck, dude? Like.
Wasn't it George Carlin that said something along the lines of "Never underestimate the power of stupid people in large numbers"?
Yeah. Idiocracy is not supposed to be a fucking guidebook. It was not. I don't know.
I know that wasn't supposed to be a premonition. Yeah.
Yeah, that was that. He's like a shittier Camacho, because at least Camacho.
He is stupid, Camacho.
Dude, Camacho at least listened to smarter people.
Terry Crews actually said, "Oh my God, he's basically turning into my character for Mediocrity."
I mean, he
really
does run. Trump
fucking
does
is.
run everything like it's pro wrestling. Like it's all like you can just say something if you get the crowd going with it. It doesn't matter if it's true or not. You just have to make a show that you're going to fulfill your promises. Like he'll cancel one thing, announce a canceling, just so he can say to his base, "Hey, we canceled this thing," and then he'll bring it back 2 weeks later on the down low and not talk about it.
It's like when Tom Green
It's all
said
pro wrestling.
it's like when Tom Green said, all you have to do to make something funny is repeat it 3 separate times, and then he would repeat everything he said 3 times, and everyone would laugh.
That's like the Regis Philbin strategy of speaking. Like he says something, he says something, he hears it in his head, then it makes him mad, then he says it again.
I actually don't get that, but I know Regis from Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. That's yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha. No, that's when he used to have a talk show. He was like
he had a morning show with
Oh, I remember.
Lee.
I remember it existing. I just never watched it.
I didn't either.
My mom always watched it, so I'd watch it on sick days.
Yeah.
So Brandon, in your mind, what is the role of the government?
The role of the government is to be not as temporary. What's the word to say? The way the government exists right now is not the way that I think government should actually be executed. I'm an anarcho-syndicalist, so I don't even think that government should be a permanent position.
You said anarcho-syndicalist. Is that what you said?
Anarcho-syndicalist, yes.
And you want to explain what that is?
Basically, we're a form of anarchist in a sort of way. We would like a stateless society, but we do also acknowledge you kind of have to set up a somewhat kind of a state thing. But basically, what's a good way to put this? We're based off the idea that unions and parties should be basically at the same kind of idea.
Okay.
So labor unions and parties. So basically, a labor would be a syndicate. Amanda, I've never gone into this with anybody. It's kind of hard.
No, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but you mentioned it to me in the messages, and I was very interested in that.
All right. So basically, we don't believe in the idea of straight up political parties because we think that parties can always backtrack, lie, sell out the constituents, and they do that on a regular basis, you know?
Sure.
So how's a good way to put this? I'm not the one to describe this the best because I'm not really going to describe it.
But you think it should be comprised of different syndicates, basically, that are kind of
syndicates would be
cooperating?
Well, they should be cooperating more than competing. Again, I'm not really the one to ask about this because, I'm not good. Like I said, I think I put me in the spot here in a weird way. It's okay though. But basically, I don't know why this is making me nervous being asked about this. That's weird. Maybe because I'm not the best one to ask because I'm not the best one to talk about it. But
forget what the actual
But basically, like this.
What's your version of it?
In a nutshell, the part I like about that belief system, and I want to go into it without going into graphic economic detail, which is the hard part there. But the takeaway here is because in that idea, economics and politics are combined. That way, it kind of that's the whole class thing. But
okay.
The government is not set up by a regular number of regular politicians. All parts of the government are basically voluntary, temporary, and will be assigned to other people at some point. There is no permanent government officials.
So you'd have roles that are essentially governmental roles, but they're rotating in a sense where you're
yes.
No, would it require term limits or would it be something different than that?
In the way that everybody would rotate through these roles. So you could do limits, you could do, I would probably imagine that's probably how it would be done. Is you'd set an amount of time that people could have these positions and then someone else would take it. No one would be permanently in any one position. You wouldn't have career senators, a career congressman.
Gotcha. And then, and so do you think the current U.S. government is set up in a way where if we instituted term limits and maybe got rid of the electoral college, we could have something close to what you're describing? Or do you think we're a long ways off from that?
Like I said, I'm trying to recall all my readings and stuff, but this whole thing ideally could be built up working with capitalism right now, and then eventually we'd have to dismantle capitalism as a whole. But for right now, you could theoretically set this up. Like I said, let me put this in a good way with that. I'm trying to read my notes and not trying to make this super complicated because my notes kind of sucked actually.
It's okay.
Also, another important thing about the way I look at government, it should be bottom up, not top down.
Yes.
That's the biggest thing.
Yes, because the money's going to flow up anyways. If you have any kind of capitalism, the money's going to flow up to the owners of industry to begin with. So you don't need to incentivize them to do, like, tax cuts for the wealthy don't incentivize anything more than they're already going to be doing because they want to suck the money up.
Oh yeah,
so,
they're already taking all the money anyhow. I don't know why. Yeah.
But if you put money, but if people at the bottom don't have money to spend, then what happens to your economy?
I'm not just that. I think it's more power structure-wise. It's bottom up. The government, the people should be running the government. The government should not be telling people what to do. That's what the anarcho part is. Like,
yes, I mentioned this in a previous version of our previous episode where, and I'm actually drawing. I draw from a Bible lesson actually, so you might remember this. But Jesus repeats something that King David says, where the law is here to serve us. We're not here to serve the law. And I feel that way about the economy. The economy's here to serve us. We're not here to serve the economy. So it's not about doing what's best for the economy. It's about doing what's best for people, and the economy will build off of that. If you make sure people have spending money, you have an economy.
Oh yeah. They don't care about this. People having spending money on the bottom anymore is the issue. they do everything they can to make sure that doesn't go that way.
Yeah.
So why do you think we have Trump? And why are people still sticking with him?
That's complicated. That would depend on which generation you're talking about. I think that a huge portion of this actually is because the right spent a long time infiltrating Gen Z. I think that's a huge issue there. I think stuff like Andrew Tate and Elon Musk and all these things are concerted efforts to get the young men, especially of Gen Z, into that camp.
And I did just hear yesterday that there's like a 59-point gender gap for Gen Z between Trump and anti-Trump.
Yeah,
meaning men are 59 points more likely to support than women are, and that goes to exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, I believe that 100%. When it comes to the older generation, I think a lot of them believe that anyhow. I think a lot of these, especially old boomers, Trump were saying stuff they've always believed in anyhow.
And yeah, it's the stuff that we know Putin, right, Eric? It's the kind of stuff that his generation would say.
Oh yeah.
Just at a barbecue or whatever, just be like, why don't they fire the whole lot of them? And
he's Gen X, but yes, he is 100% like.
Yeah.
That guy and that dude.
I just snoozed him for 30 days because I couldn't
honestly,
anymore.
Brandon, we don't claim him because he could easily be Jen Jones for all I know.
Dude, we're not gonna get into him. That man, me and him again today. It's just like, man.
I blocked him so long ago just because I'm not gonna deal with you. I'm sorry.
Every so often, and I just did it yesterday. I snooze him for 30 days. And...
Yeah, well, not a bad idea.
Well, it's funny is I think it does happen from a lot of people, and then he'll put out a post that's like, nobody's talking to me anymore. It's like, yeah, we all blocked you, dude.
Yeah. But yeah, sorry. I've never done a podcast before. This is my first.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Yeah. This is very new to me.
Well, you're doing great so far.
Honestly, dude, it's just a conversation that just happens to be recorded is all,
Oh,
yeah, and don't worry, nobody's going to listen. So
I mean, to be fair, this is only the 6th episode, and I think last week's episode had on Spotify, it had like 7 listens. So, I mean, I wouldn't worry too much about it.
We're on the rise.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll get more and more and more.
Oh, yeah,
if we keep at it.
It will.
If I don't get frustrated and quit.
No rage quitting the podcast, Doug. This isn't Madden.
No, it's not. It's definitely not.
Sorry.
It can be maddening, though.
Maddening is not the same thing. Yeah.
So I think we've kind of gotten to this a little bit, but I'm going to ask you 3 questions now.
Mm-hmm.
What's your diagnosis of America? I.e., what's the problem right now? Is it something fundamental, something recent, something that we can change? Second question is going to be, what's your prescription, which I think we got a little bit from your anarcho-syndicalist take, but what's your prescription to fix it? And then third will be, what's your prognosis? So we're looking for a diagnosis, a prescription, and a prognosis. And we can start with a diagnosis just something off the cuff if you have it.
Like what do you think the problem is in America?
Yeah.
I think that we've officially crossed the Rubicon into a fascist state.
Yeah.
And do you think that happened? Yeah. Do you think that happened because of like was there an underlying problem that allowed that to happen?
Depending on which side you were looking at, everybody's contributed a lot to it. It was, for one, like Todd said, racism. There's also the fact that a lot of people on the left just kind of sat back on their haunches and watched this happen, and the whole concept of crossing the Rubicon is what comes to mind. And I think everybody kind of watched this, and I never said where the level was that we would actually say that this is full-on fascism, I think for me, we crossed that line the second we started setting up detention camps for children in Trump's first term. Now we're sending people to death camps overseas without a trial.
Without due process. Yep, we're there. We are absolutely there.
So, yeah.
Now, one of the lessons with crossing the Rubicon is that you can't go back. Do you think we can go back?
We can try to fix the damage that's happened, but no, I don't think we're going to ever be able to go back from this. I think that what has happened here has irrevocably damaged our standings with our allies in the world stage.
No, I think that's one of Trump's primary goals, whether he knows it or not, because I think that's what Putin wants. What do you think about that?
I think it's what Putin wants, but it's also, once again, what the hard right wants. They want to be this super self-independent, don't need anybody state. These fucking idiots.
And the corporations are more powerful than any government type of deal.
Well, the hard right, when it comes to that, some believe that, some don't. Yeah, I'm sure a lot of conservatives would argue, no, that's not what we're saying, that we don't want any leaders, but yeah, what was the question again?
Well, right now we're talking about the diagnosis, but you also kind of touched on the prognosis there too, I think, when you said that we are to a certain extent permanently damaged by this. Our standing in the world, maybe even our fraternity with other people, with our fellow citizens. And kind of my options for prognosis, if you had needed more prodding, were going to be like, are we going to take our medicine and get better? Or are we terminal? Or are we going to like continue to hobble on in some demented form? And it kind of sounds like the latter, you think, maybe.
I think that we could, that's how the future holds, if we can get, people like Trump out of office and all of that stuff, then there's a chance. But as long as these guys remain in power, not really.
Yeah. Who would you like to see come in after Trump?
There's really nobody in actually modern politics that would make me super happy. AOC would be the most potential that you could actually have. Well, something that could actually theoretically win. Like some random socialist off the street no one's heard of is not going to come in and crash the 2028 election.
Honestly, dude, I don't see our country ever voting in a woman. As much as I think we would benefit from that, I don't think it's going to happen. I think honestly, if I was to pick a Democratic or non-Republican, non-MAGA politician that I think could be the next president, I think Tim Walz was not a bad choice for vice president. So why wouldn't he make for a good president?
I do like Walz a lot. I just think, I agree from numbers wise, he might, because I don't know if a woman will be at prison here or not. I hope that someday in this country we get a point where we can, but I just don't want to push another old white guy is the issue. So that's why I wouldn't necessarily want to see that. It's just, there's been enough.
Yeah. I really like Walz, but you're not wrong about it's been enough old white guys. But he's going to be even older next time. But I do like Walz. I think it's going to be Buttigieg, which I don't know if that's probably not going to be enough. Like he's probably not going to be willing to do enough to fix the problems. Every time I hear him speak, I'm like, he makes a lot of sense. I love the way he's able to talk to conservatives and change their minds in some respects. But at the end of the day, he still just kind of wants to do neoliberal stuff and doesn't really want to make the big moves necessary.
And that's the issue, is that we need to see actual change. Like, Noam Chomsky talks about how they do this on purpose, and I actually believe him on that.
Yeah, it's if you ever listen to Vosh, he talks about the cycle of you get a neoliberal Democrat followed by a fascist Republican, and then the neoliberal just tries to restore neoliberalism, and it's just this wheel of neoliberalism essentially.
Exactly.
You get the fascist version and the little more nicer version.
Yeah, and I mean, I consider the Democrats center-right party.
They really effectively are at this point. And now I blame that primarily on two things. One is Citizens United, which basically mandated that you had to sell out to a corporation if you want to be a national politician. Because if you don't, somebody else will, and they're going to get all the funding, and then that's who you're going to have. So I feel like Citizens United really screwed us there. And the other thing is just the fact that people don't come out and vote in midterm elections. So every time the Democrats do something big, like when they had an assault weapons ban, and then immediately they lose their 50-year majority that they'd had in Congress, right? We're talking 1994. They're afraid that their voters won't come out in the midterms and help them. So they don't want to take any kind of major stand since then. They really, like, the biggest thing that's happened since that is like gay marriage, which wasn't even legislation.
There's also Israel,
Yeah. Well, yeah, they're all owned by Israel now, right?
That's the one I would say right now that needs to be a big change. But you can't. I mean, even Bernie has had to soften up on that.
Even Bernie's more pro-Israel than I'd want to see.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
And he started out not being like that, but I feel like somebody got into his ear, and yeah, they even turned him. So now he's like I have to. He even said he has to.
And it's crazy. And another factor that we're dealing with is just we haven't had a liberal Supreme Court in our lifetimes. Like we're 40 years old and we haven't had a liberal court in our lifetimes.
That's where we need term limits more than anything. I don't know how the hell that would change.
Every time it was going to go our way, 2016, what happened? Absolute fuckery happened at the electoral level to keep it conservative. Mm-hmm. And without a liberal court, we can't have truly progressive legislation because they'll just say it's unconstitutional and then throw it away. That makes it you can never get it. So I do think Democrats have been biding their time trying to get the courts back, but they don't. But now that they're corporate owned, now that the Supreme Court had Citizens United, everybody's corporate owned. Now nobody's fighting too hard for anything. And I guess my dream would be like some sort of working families takeover of the Democratic Party, sort of like MAGA and the Tea Party did to the Republicans, but we have like a working families style takeover at the DNC and a liberal Tea Party. Well, not a liberal Tea Party.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
There's liberal means a lot. Liberal has come to mean neoliberal these days, but when I say liberal, I mean like Keynesian economics and socially liberal, like pro gay marriage, pro transgender, pro diversity, equity, inclusion, and all that.
Well, we would call it democratic socialist.
Yes,
right?
Democratic socialist is what I first discovered Bernie in 2002 because he was in opposition of the Iraq War, and that's when I started really getting into democratic socialism. I am a card-carrying Democrat. I'm registered Democrat, so I can vote in the primaries and caucus.
Same.
But I've always considered myself a democratic socialist, not a hard socialist, like you said, not a communist. I don't want to work that hard. I don't want to go farm my own land. Like I'm not going to be a communist, but democratic socialist is just, it just makes sense.
It does. It's like if socialism as a whole makes sense, what's the point of government if not just to bind things together and allow for people to work together? In my opinion, the most biggest point of the government is to educate more than anything else.
And if you look at the preamble to the United States Constitution, does that not sound like it's setting up some sort of democratic socialism?
Oh, yeah. Well, they always when they talk about building a society, that in itself is,
it's a we the people to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity. If that statement didn't already exist in the Constitution, and you tried to make that statement in a speech, people would call you a socialist.
They say you're woke.
Yeah, they'd call you some sort of woke, pinko, commie.
Yeah, that's the
snowflake.
word.
I mean, that's what woke is now. It's what when people used to be called pinko commies. It's the same thing.
Yeah, and or they use it as a substitute for the N-word. You see that all the time too.
Yeah, there's that.
DEI and woke.
No, that's the EI, 100%. Yep. That's when they say DEI. That's what they mean. They want to say the N-word really bad.
Narwhal.
So that so that takes me to the end of my prepared questions. I know you had some notes. Is there anything you really wanted to touch on before we switch over to some news?
Well, you were talking earlier about the whole. I didn't want to talk about this since I wrote notes about this years ago. Something I want to talk about for a long time, actually.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm glad to give you that chance.
The whole dark enlightenment thing. How much have you heard about that?
I mean, I've watched some YouTube videos breaking down Curtis Yarvin. But I haven't like done a deep dive into it.
Well, you were talking earlier what the right wants, and but ultimately what all these right libertarians want is this whole dark enlightenment idea where basically neo-feudalism there is what's called a sovereign CEO in charge of everything.
A sovereign CEO, so like a corporate king.
They basically think that the role of the government should basically be ran like a business. That's why they like Trump so much.
Oh.
Yeah.
And that is oh man, it's so antithetical to what a government should be.
Oh yeah. Oh yes. Oh yes. And it's 100% like the Christchurch shooter was a big adherent to this. The American Nazi Party, Adam Waffen, they're all huge adherents to this belief set as well. So
and it really hits home for me because like the company I work for was literally, it was a locally owned business, small to mid business, and it was just the owners getting close to retirement, so he sold it to a national corporation, a national conglomerate, and we had to do a new onboarding thing, and I read through everything they sent us, and literally if it wasn't for the parts, like they have Washington state specific parts of the handbook because they have to give us stuff because of our state rules. But except for the things that are government mandated, everything sucked. There was nothing good for the employee in the entire handbook except for the parts that were mandated by government. And they even have stuff like you can't smoke weed even in your time off because it's still federally illegal and blah, blah, blah. And it's like if there wasn't a government, our entire lives would be run by our employer or an insurance company or both.
Oh, yeah.
Like you would literally your entire schedule would be set by your employer, and you'd never have time off. You'd always be under their thumb in one way or another.
But here's the thing about right libertarians. They always believe they're going to be that guy. That is why they like this idea. They're like, because I'm going to be the one in charge of everything, so I don't give a shit.
And that to me is I do wonder if there's a divide between sides with empathy.
And I mean, Go on, go for it.
I was going to say, I could never want to be the guy that's crushing the other people under my thumb just to make more profit.
Yeah, most CEOs are sociopaths. That's like 100% proven fact.
Yeah, and it's and I think that may be how you ultimately escaped and became, were able to progress in your views is you suffer from empathy.
Yeah, I mean the right is full on declared war on empathy. There's a guy in the Eastern Washington here, a pastor, who is now openly saying how empathy is a bad thing. Openly saying.
Which, of course, Musk was leading that conversation.
Oh, yeah.
Too, right?
It's funny. If you look at these arguments, they do repeat themselves, and they do tend to start in the alt-right libertarian camp and then kind of move into religion and then into this mainstream Elon Musk, everything else.
Yep, they basically launder it that way.
Yep, there's a pipeline to this.
Yes, and there's such everything in social media becomes a right-wing pipeline. It's just so reductive. I guess it's just because they have no trouble lying, because they can simplify things down to without having a nuanced look at anything, and they can feed it to you in the simplest pill that too many people swallow.
And what have you heard about Curtis Yarvin? You were saying you were reading something on him?
So just that he's basically the philosopher that Peter Thiel and his ilk look to explain what they want for this corporate feudalism, essentially.
Yeah, he's worked with Steve Bannon, Peter Thiel. He's a guy for Breitbart. Have you heard about what he believes in and all that stuff?
I've gone through it, but I don't know it verbatim, or I don't have it on the top of my head. But
the whole cathedral shit and all of that.
Go if you have notes on that. Go for it.
He basically believes that all the power and like in like universities, mainstream media, are belongs to a group called the cathedral that he calls them, and he believes that humans desire power and it's a good thing. And that is another recurring thing along the right. And the right, libertarians, they believe things like will to power and greed are good aspects of humanity.
Yeah, they don't see Gordon Gekko from Wall Street as they didn't realize he was a satirical villain. Like they see greed as good, and they're like, oh, he's got a point.
I mean,
and I
was gonna say, I was just gonna say I saw a video today. So someone was posting that you do realize that the Empire in Star Wars were the bad guys, right?
Oh, the right is so media illiterate, it's hilarious.
And like
they really are.
They think that they're the Jedi and not the Sith, which is insane to me.
I've seen that these protests, them walking around and Trump pasted over like the Emperor of Mankind and like fucking a Homelander, and I'm like, you guys don't get that at all, do you? Like he's the bad guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. The media literacy is so true. It's like they don't know how to read an article and understand the bias in it. They don't know I'm in a politics group for my local area, and it's all right-wingers. It's all MAGA people. I'm like the only leftist in the whole group. And somebody was going off on the Second Amendment and how the Second Amendment's the most important amendment, yada, yada, yada. They posted a video. I've mentioned this on a previous episode, Todd, but
that's fine.
They posted a video. They're like, you guys got to check out this dude. He was just speaking truth. You got to listen to this speech on the Second Amendment. It's the best speech I've ever heard. And then I click on it. It's Mark Robinson from North Carolina, the self-proclaimed black Nazi, talking about the Second Amendment. And I'm like, you are completely media illiterate. And I was like, okay, you guys might not know who he is, but just so you know, yeah, I gave the full scoop. You know who I'm talking about, right, Brandon?
No, I'm assuming he's a satirist.
No. He ran for governor as a Republican in North Carolina this last cycle, but it turned out that he was on these porn websites, leaving all these comments.
Oh yeah, no, I remember that story.
Nazi and what he would do to people.
That's
like, this
right.
is who they turn to. And I tried to explain who he was, and they're like, well, that doesn't really matter. Just listen to what he has to say. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm not going to hear the Nazi out.
Yeah, exactly.
And they came back to me. The admin DM'd me, and she's like, you're not playing nice in the sandbox. And I'm like, with Nazis?
Yeah. What?
And it's like, she's like, well, I looked it up, and he says he didn't do that. So.
I'm sure he did. Oh, that's another thing about Yarvin. Yarvin is also blatantly pro-Hitler. Like, he believes that what Hitler did was necessary.
And these people they got to all be sociopaths, or they've learned to become sociopaths if they've learned to ignore their empathy if they ever had it.
Yeah, I think they look at it as a weakness. Like the one thing that I was talking about, the whole Andrew Tate bullshit. That's that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Andrew Tate's he's a psychopath.
The whole manosphere thing.
Andrew Tate is basically the Gen Z version of what was that dude who had a radio show?
Rush Limbaugh.
No. Likas, Tom Likas.
Oh. Yeah, Tom Likas. Oh my God.
I haven't heard that name in years.
Dude, you know what? I used to love listening to that show when I was in my 30s and my 20s. I loved that show. Listening to it, and someone said, that guy's a dick, and he's not real. He's all these other things. Is like, and years later, I'm like, no, they were absolutely right about Tom.
Mm-hmm.
He was a troll. He was a troll before internet trolls. Yeah, Likas was. That's for damn sure. My sister's about your age, Todd, and she used to listen to Likas back in the day too, but not for political reasons.
I didn't listen to him for political reasons either. I listened to him because he was always talking about how to meet women and stuff, and I was like, I was taking that information.
Oh, see, I didn't realize he did that.
Oh yeah, no, he was all about like don't spend X amount of money on a date. If you spend more than that, you're essentially like in
no, he really is like Andrew Tate.
Oh, absolutely.
That's even better comparison than I realized.
Yeah, so I mean, with the way Tate talks, if he would have talked like that back in the day, they would have laughed him off the radio.
Oh, yes. Oh, God, yes. God, can you imagine going back in the day trying to call some dude beta and just having people be like, what?
Or a cunt. So yeah, I'm an alpha, and women like me because I'm an alpha. I'm an
Jesus
alpha,
Christ.
and and saying that word over and over again, like if I say it enough times, they're gonna believe me, right?
Yeah, it's how many repetitions equals one truth. Like,
Yeah. Maybe it falls in line with that Tom Green where he says something 3 times and it makes it funny.
that's the rule. That's not the rule of threes.
Yeah, but Tom Green was a Zoomer before Zoomers happened. Let's be honest. As much as we give Zoomers shit about that, we watched a guy put his bum on everything on a boat, and we laughed at it. We laughed at that shit.
I absolutely thought Tom Green was the most ridiculous TV personality ever, because before he did that song, he had a TV show on MTV right around the time that MTV stopped playing music.
I remember that. Yeah,
he had a reality show, and one of the things and it was like right before. I don't think it was even before Jackass. He was doing pranks before Jackass was on TV.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, we were just talking about that. That whole running around putting his butt on everything. That was the Tom Green show.
Yeah. Oh, that was part of the Tom Green show. I just remember that. I remember the show being on the air before that song was popular. So.
Oh yeah, no, he did that on there, and then he made it.
Yeah, the reason it was in the song is because that was one of his things. Is to put his bum on things.
Oh, my bum is on the Swedish. Yeah.
And
but yeah, how do we get Andrew Tate back from Romania, but we can't get people back from El Salvador?
Oh, I know.
I've seen so many people talk about that. It's like, we can't get this one guy back from El Salvador, but we got Andrew Tate back from Romania.
But he's still under like investigation.
Yeah, for real actual crimes. And it just drives me crazy the way that they try and say, well, these people all have done illegal things. They're criminals. They're gang members just because the administration says so. But then we have people who are actually like the violent January 6 people still got pardoned.
Yeah.
The Trump's the DOJ is dropping charges against corrupt politicians as long as they're Republicans.
Yeah.
Or working with him in some fashion.
Joint loyalty test right now is all they care about.
Yep.
And it's funny because I talked to some conservatives about the Andrew Tate thing, and one of the biggest arguments is like, oh, well, they've been an investigation for like 2 years now. Is that fair? Doesn't he have a right to a speedy trial? And I'm like, you stupid motherfuckers. That's a U.S. right. Like, that's not something you get in Romania. What are you talking about? That's something you get here. You have no right to a speedy trial in Romania.
Yeah, no, but we still found a way to go get him and make his life better.
Yeah, Trump's got to protect his fellow rapists.
Yeah, right. Because if they get one, they might get him. And how is he so Teflon? Like, how come his people are the ones that care about Jeffrey Epstein more than anybody, but somehow they give him a pass when he's like clearly tied up with Jeffrey Epstein? Because
it's a cult. So even if you present to them this argument and all the evidence in the world, they will not care because it's literally a fucking cult.
Yeah.
And he attacks the people that they want to attack. So he's almost like just a mascot for him.
No, well, that's an interesting question, and I guess that's something a lot of people have been asking: is when Trump goes, is there going to be someone that can pick up the mantle for him? Because in a way, I do think Trumpism as a concept is a problem, but thank Christ, Trump himself is an anomaly.
Yeah. Right. And is his identity or is his cult transferable?
Yeah, and anybody else do what he does? And by all accounts, it does not seem so. We have seen people try to do what he does, and they fall flat on their fucking face.
Was it Vance? People think that he's gonna, if Trump dies in office, Vance is gonna take over, and he's gonna be worse.
Have you said thank you?
I saw somebody post something yesterday that says the Dalai Lama canceled his meeting with J.D. Vance after the events of April 1st.
After the Pope died.
Yeah.
Yeah, Vance is toxic. But yeah, I don't know that he has the juice. I do worry that like they could just put Don Jr. nominate Don Jr. and everybody will just say, well, it's really still Trump.
It's a concern of mine, too. By the same token, can he do what Trump did? Could he get away with saying the stuff that Trump could do? That's the thing about a cult leader is they're pretty charismatic. There's only one of them, and there is only one of Trump. I do see Trumpism. The bigger issue is that the beliefs that exist right now, them continuing and them finding a way to just roll into the next thing. but I don't know if there's another individual that could come up and do, for example, the thing about the guy with a MS and get away with that. Yeah, that was something that in any other timeline or any in this country would have ended somebody's political career. The fact that that did not end his career at that point showed it was something strange.
Like Al Franken, who's a great senator, had to quit because he took a funny photo where he was pretending to grope somebody, wasn't even actually doing it.
And he just retired because it was. Yeah,
I actually had a legitimate full-on argument with somebody about the whole the Trump mocking that guy who, I don't know what his physical disabilities were, but he had a gimp arm and stuff. I can say that because I'm in special ed. But anyways, me and this other guy, we were in the same class together, and I was like, how can you back him knowing he mocked people like us? He goes, well, that guy was a left-leaning, blah, 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 blah. I was like, and you should have heard what he said about Trump. I was like, I don't fucking care what the guy said. If he said something about your mom, you making fun of him because he's disabled is not okay. Whatever he said, it's still not okay. And we argued for an hour about that.
And it's that cult mindset.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a cult. It's literally a cult. He can't do no wrong. He makes what's right and wrong in their mind.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yep.
I heard someone say a couple weeks back that MAGA and QAnon is basically the hillbilly version of Scientology.
Yeah, there's grifters at the top and all of that stuff. Although Scientology is one of those things I also just fucking hate. Like that. That's creepy with the people.
It's really bad.
It's creepy.
Really bad if you get in the org.
Seriously, I discovered Scientology in the early 2000s because I was working for a company that was owned by one of the higher members of the church, and so it's I got to figure out what this is all about because I'm hearing people talking weird stuff, and I'm like, that can't be real, right? So I went on YouTube, and this is way back before Leah Remini had her show about Scientology and leaving the organization. And this guy was just protesting. He wasn't saying anything untrue. He just was protesting the church. And they came out and they were getting right up on his face saying, "What are your crimes? What are your crimes?"
I feel like banging your mom.
Seriously,
that's what they do is they audit you all the time to get you to admit to anything bad you've done, and then they keep a file on you.
Yep.
And if you ever try and leave, they use that information against you.
Not only that, if they don't have anything on you, they will make stuff up.
That
guy, he just actually recently passed. Mark Runger, I think his name was. He was one of the guys on that Remedy show. He was one of the higher ups in that church, and then when he left, they were posting fake sexual predator posters in his neighborhood.
Yeah, and that's similar to what Trump will do, right? If you don't play along with him, he's gonna find some bullshit to sue you over. He's gonna try and wreck your life. And it's 100% a cult.
The government just posted the wife of the guy who got sent to El Salvador. They posted her address online, and now she's under protective.
Right. Yeah, she had to move because she was getting death threats and shit. Yep. But to our point about will Trumpism continue on past Trump? The one piece of evidence that I think does give us some hope is the fact that every election that didn't have Trump on the ballot since Trump's come into power, so 2018, 2022, the Democrats have greatly outperformed expectations.
Yes.
When Trump's not on the ballot, we do have a chance. So I do hope it's going to die with him.
I hope
Me too.
Me too.
I mean, Trumpism as a whole is here to stay. But like I said, it takes a really weird individual to pitch that and make that win. We've never
a certain
it
cachet, I guess, whatever you want to call it.
He has a weird form of charisma over people. You don't know what it is, but
it's so stupid to me because it's I wouldn't call it charisma, but it is. It's what it is, especially for them. But to me, it's whenever I hear Trump speak, all I hear is a beauty pageant speech.
Oh,
I hear such as the Iraq. That's what I hear when I hear him speak.
I hear the adult from Peanuts.
I
Might as well be.
Yeah, that's a very good analogy right there. Just because everything he says is nonsense usually, and he'll
Just meanders.
yeah, I just like pulling shit out of his ass, and I hear that this is going on and this is happening or this has been said. It's like no one's fucking said that, dude. You're the one making that shit up. So yeah.
According to him, people are always like coming at him, crying and shaking his hand and shit. Yeah, I know.
Have you ever
Yeah,
seen
he was
that?
a big, strong man, but he cried to me.
Have you ever seen that video of that woman crying for Trump? Trump, please save us! And he's like, Biden's got this weird flag behind him, and the flag that was behind him was like his state flag from where he's from. She thought he was replacing the American flag with his state flag or whatever. And she's like,
Save me, Donald Trump!
Forget media literacy. These people just aren't literate, period.
Yeah, no, they're not.
Save me, Donald Trump! Save me, Tom Cruise!
save me, baby Jesus! yeah.
All right. Well, we'll have more opportunity to talk to Trump here in just a minute. Let's go ahead and get into some news. Todd, do we have a news theme this week?
We do. Oh my gosh, yes. Where is it? Wait, no, I don't have one. I thought I did. No, I don't. Never mind the intro for that. Just go ahead and do the news, man. I thought I had
All right.
one.
Well, now it's time for news of the week. We'll do one next week.
Yeah.
Just like we always say every week. So, first topic for the news. And that was a great chat, Brandon. Thank you so much.
Not a problem.
Absolutely.
Feel free to chime in anything you want here, but we might blow through this. So going back to last week's episode where we were all about last week's episode was autism and the no good, very bad health secretary.
God damn it.
And of course, one of the things that was argued on behalf of Kennedy is that he's increasing autism research, at least. Like, why should we be upset if he's increasing autism research? Because he's not. Because the government's not. The government is just pretending that they're going to have a solution by September, and then they're going to make something up and blame processed foods or vaccines or something and go, see, promise made, promise kept, right? Because this was reported right after we did the last episode last week, but the Trump administration is cutting funding for autism research. Like that was announced this past week. So funding for autism research is actually disappearing at a time when we see the director of HHS talking a lot about autism as though they think it is important. This is coming from time.com, and this is a quote of Michael Page Stanbake, who's an autism researcher at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. So behind the scenes, they are taking a hammer to the whole apparatus of autism research. They're doing this at the Department of Education. They slashed autism funding. And if you're looking at, and then there's also a Charting My Path for Future Success, which is a Department of Education program, lost funding because of government cuts. And they're firing people all over the place. And the National Science Foundation had another grant canceled for funding autism programs in schools and universities. The First Center for Autism and Innovation at Vanderbilt University lost $7.7 million in funding because of its grant application, which was approved, but it included the terms inclusion and accessibility, so now it got cut. DOD cut autism funding as well. And the National Institute of Health has had an abrupt halt to any autism research. But we're going to find a cure by September, Brandon. We're going to find a cure.
No, because he already knows what he's going to do. He already has a prerogative. He knows he probably can't go after vaccines right now safely. I think he's going to end up blaming food dyes and stuff. That's been my guess for a while.
And processed foods and that stuff. Mm-hmm. I think it's going to be all that. Yep.
I think he's going to go for that. I think he knows that if he says autism, he says vaccines, people will just, companies will just be building, of course, trying to put a ton of money into research to disprove them. Yeah. So he's going to go for food dyes.
I mean, yeah, he said he was going to do that. He said, what was it? Food dyes and something else. Like, yeah.
I don't mind getting rid of the food dyes. There's natural ways to do all that food dye. Like you look at what they do in the UK. Most of that red dye 4, yellow 5, whatever, that's not allowed there, and they get their dyes naturally like we used to do. I'm fine with that, but to say that that's what causes autism is going to be a bunch of bullshit.
Oh yeah.
And the next topic, so something we've been following in this podcast is the visa revocations of students. and the fight to maintain their SEVIS status. So I was going to do a story about how international students have been racking up wins in court against the Trump administration. But because of that, because of all the wins that they've been having, Trump has pulled a 180. This is coming from the New Republic. Trump has pulled an abrupt 180 on foreign students after huge blowback. So Donald Trump's administration will restore student visas that were terminated solely based on minor legal infractions. So we're seeing people that had non-alcohol, non-violent traffic misdemeanors, like they ran a stop sign or were caught speeding. They were getting their SEVIS funding, their SEVIS standing terminated, which meant they only had a limited time to leave the country. So they've all been suing. There was a big case we followed in California of a student athlete suing the administration. And so now they're saying, quote, ICE will not modify their records solely based on the NCIC finding that resulted in the recent SEVIS record termination, said Assistant U.S. Attorney Joseph Carlilli, referring to the National Crime Information Center, which holds records of students' misdemeanor charges and dismissed cases that had been used as a justification for their loss of legal status. Crucially, under the current F-1 visa policies, students can only be removed for committing violent felonies, not the minor and dismissed charges levied against the students that the Trump administration had been using. So that's a win.
Yeah.
That is proving that the courts are holding up to the extent that Trump is backing down now. This is another thing we've gotten Trump to back down on.
Well, could you imagine the president would said if Trump could just ignore court orders?
And we're going to see what's going to happen this week. I think we're going to have the results of that 2-week. Judge Zinnis was doing a 2-week fact-finding mission to see whether she could hold the Trump administration in contempt of court. And I think we're going to see the results of that this week. So that's going to be a big one to look at. And then, of course, they are somewhat ignoring that 9-0 ruling, misinterpreting the 9-0 ruling in the Abrego Garcia case.
That is insane to me. That is, I mean, the only theory I have on that one is somebody's getting paid. I think both sides are getting paid. I think the president of El Salvador is getting a lot of money for that.
Well, we know that to be the case. So they claimed at one point they said they were paying $6 million to El Salvador. And then when Senator Van Hollen went down there to visit Abrego Garcia, he came back saying he thinks it's more like $15 million that they were paying them. And then Trump just did an interview where he refused to be specific about that. He was saying he was being wishy-washy and evading the topic, saying he didn't authorize any payments to El Salvador, and he just leaves that up to, quote-unquote, his attorneys. But when he says his attorneys, he's referring to the Attorney General of the United States. That's not his attorney. That's our attorney. Like,
that is how Trump learned from a mob boss. Is one of his.
Yeah, everything he does is just like a mob boss.
Exactly.
That's why he rips up every paper that comes across his desk and throws it away.
He doesn't need to give orders. He can imply it, and somebody will do it for him.
Right, which is exactly how Putin works too, right? And there's lots of reason to think that Trump is very much associated with Russian mobsters.
Oh, well, Trump is freaking, he's Putin's bitch.
Yeah, and I think we've gone into it on this podcast before, but basically he's just extremely in debt into Russia is my theory. And that's how they owned him. And they've got, between debt and compromise, they've got him hooked.
The P tapes.
Yeah, I don't know if the P tapes are real, but he's got something, right?
I guarantee he knows every evil that Donald Trump has ever done. And Trump used to do a ton of drugs. I'm sure he was with prostitutes. He probably has video evidence of something stupid like that.
Yep, I completely agree. Next story. So the Trump DOJ, this is also coming from the New Republic. Trump DOJ ordered ICE to invade homes without search warrant. So they were using the Alien Enemies Act to basically say, here was the full direction according to the memo. Quote, as much as practicable, officers should follow the proactive procedures above and have an executed warrant of apprehension and removal before contacting an alien enemy, the memo reads. However, that will not always be realistic or effective in swiftly identifying and removing alien enemies. An officer may encounter a suspected alien enemy in the natural course of the officer's enforcement activity, such as when apprehending other validated members of Tren de Aragua. Given the dynamic nature of enforcement operations, officers in the field are authorized to apprehend aliens upon a reasonable belief that the alien meets all four requirements to be validated as an alien enemy. This authority includes entering an alien enemy's residence to make an AEA apprehension where circumstances render it impractical to first obtain a signed notice and warrant. So the four, somewhere in here I have the 4 items, but I'm not seeing them now.
I'm still tripping on alien enemy. Are we playing XCOM? What is this?
Right. Well, that's the thing, is an alien enemy isn't supposed to just be someone illegally in your country. It's supposed to be like a member of a hostile foreign army that's infiltrated your space.
Yeah.
And they're basically trying to say Tren de Aragua is such a foreign force. But okay, so here's the 4 criteria that you have to meet in order to do a warrantless apprehension. The person has to be 14 years of age or older, not a U.S. citizen or lawful permanent resident. They also must be a citizen of Venezuela and a member of Tren de Aragua. So what do you know about Brego Garcia? How many of those does he meet?
Well, they claim that it's all of them. They'll always claim that it's all of them.
But they're saying he's MS-13.
Yeah, MS-13. They posted a picture of a tattoo that they doctored or changed.
So they don't even say he's Tren de Aragua. They're conflating it with a different gang. He's not a citizen of Venezuela. And then also Mahmoud Khalil. They arrested him. They claimed to have a warrant when they first arrested Mahmoud Khalil. They found out he didn't have a warrant. Now they're saying they didn't need to have a warrant. And the thing about Mahmoud Khalil is he is a lawful permanent resident. He's not Venezuelan. He's Palestinian. But they still apprehended him without a warrant.
And MAGA will be like, it's fine, they're criminals. What they mean is, it's fine, he's not white.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's an undesirable.
That's what they want to say, but they can't. So they come up with a little code words.
I mean, they feel like they can say things like that now, but years ago, yeah.
I still don't think they do completely. I mean, I guess I still think the word DEI is just because they can't use whatever
I don't
word.
think you're wrong in that, but I think there's also quite a few people out there who will just flat out say, why.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Yeah, that is true.
So can you guys still hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, there we go. My stuff, my tabs all froze for a second there.
Oh, I thought. Yeah, it's still on.
But it's working now. Okay, here we go. So that was the 3rd story. 4th story. This one is just a little bit. We try and touch on local news here, and we haven't been doing a very good job of that. So I did want to throw in this story that Washington State Legislature has passed a right to repair bill.
That's good.
Yes, it's a little bit of good news. So we'll be the 8th state in the U.S. to pass right to repair laws. The governor still needs to sign it. He's been on a great clip. He's signed over 100 bills already since he's come into office. Most of them have to do with like family court and that kind of stuff. What we're doing with kids that are either caught up in the system or have committed crimes, and do we treat them like adults? How do we handle them?
You said the governor?
Yes, the governor.
Yeah, Bob Ferguson. Yeah, he's doing good.
Bob Ferguson. Yeah, he's doing a lot of good stuff. I do have some bones to pick with him. I don't like that he's refusing the wealth tax. I don't like that he doesn't. He's doing more cuts rather than raising taxes, which I don't like. But I understand the game he has to play, so I'm giving him some grace there. But this bill in particular is aimed to protect residents' right to repair their electronics, appliances, and wheelchairs. So the chief sponsor of the bill was Representative Mia Gregerson. That's HB 1483. And the Right to Repair Act is about fairness, affordability, and putting back into the hands of everyday Washingtonians. Whether it's a smartphone or a household device, people deserve access to the tools, parts, and information needed to repair devices they've already paid for. So basically what we've had before is like an iPhone could say that you void your warranty if you try and repair your iPhone. You have to take it to a Genius shop. They cannot. Once this is signed into law, they won't be able to do that kind of stuff in this state anymore. In fact, they will have to make the parts and the know-how available. So basically, they'll have to provide online information on how to fix your phone, and they'll also have to sell the parts that you need to fix it. Yeah,
and is that also farming equipment?
Let me see.
Because that'd be the big one to me. That the device one is good too, but the farm equipment right to repair thing is a much more like important. I think not important, but it's another big one too. There, it is.
Now wheelchairs are applied to this. I am not seeing specifically farm equipment, but that may be that would be another good one to push for.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. No, farm equipment today, the same thing. They only want to take a special like John Deere's. I would have known for this stuff. And they'll want a ton of money to fix it for you.
And then another bit of local news is our Senator Patty Murray. She recently had one of her many what do you want to call it, a meeting, a roundtable meeting on specifically on Veterans Affairs. This one specifically was for women veterans, and this was held at a VFW in the state, at a VFW hall in the state, and she's done these town halls all over the states, a lot of times, dozens of times, and she says the Veterans Administration has always been at the table, but now under Trump, they're refusing to come.
Because it says women in it.
Yeah, essentially. And this is on top of the Trump administration denying our state $34 million in requested money from FEMA to deal with the bomb cyclone from last November. Of course, they're also stiffing Arkansas, which is surprising to me. That I'm guessing they're stiffing Arkansas so that to help avoid lawsuits from other states that they want to stiff. But you've heard about how the governor of Arkansas is his former press secretary.
Oh yeah. I'm
Sarah Huckabee Sanders.
I'm also wondering if he's doing it to punish her because he was displeased with her in particular.
Was he? Do you think? Are you just wondering, or do you
I'm
remember
wondering,
a story?
I do know that she's no longer as press secretary.
Well, that's because she went to become governor. So I almost would think that he would, because she tries to help him as much as she can, I believe.
Maybe. It is weird that he would turn down one of it because he's nothing like pardons loyalists.
Right, and that's why I'm wondering if he's been advised by his lawyers that if he grants her request, it makes it harder to turn down like Washington's request.
Maybe, but then what's he gonna do? What's the money gonna go? If it's not used, then it's gonna. I guess he wouldn't care if it went away. That's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah, and then of course, and so the VA's response to Patty Murray was that they do meetings inside their VA building essentially. But they can't do town halls there because it would disrupt the work of the VA. So their response to why didn't you come to Washington to my town hall is, well, you can't have town halls in our VA building. just once again completely ignoring the actual question and coming up with some bullshit excuse. Yeah. All right. So last two stories I pulled from Facebook. That previous story was from mynorthwest.com. So this comes from Vince Marshbank's Facebook, who's somebody I just discovered today. I wasn't sure who they were, and so I normally wouldn't include that, but they actually came down with a lot of facts. And I'm very scrupulous with who I follow on Facebook. I get enough stuff pushed to me anyway, so I see everything. But if I'm actually going to intentionally follow somebody, it's because they're bringing hard facts and backing it up with numbers. So what this is part of what we want to do with this podcast is push good ideas. One of our big things is a universal basic income.
Oh, yeah.
I firmly believe in a UBI or a guaranteed income. We've been following those studies all across America and even the world. And every single time you get more back in the economy than you put into it. And more than anything, people's mental health gets better. And mental health is a big deal here. Well, here's another program that I think needs to be implemented nationwide. And there's a great case study here coming out of Arkansas, again, mentioning Sarah Huckabee Sanders. This is back in Arkansas again. So in 2017, the Batesville School District in Arkansas faced a $250,000 budget deficit and struggled to retain teachers due to low salaries. So to address these challenges, the district conducted an energy audit and implemented energy efficient measures, including the installation of over 1,400 solar panels across its facilities. So these initiatives reduced the district's annual energy consumption by 1.6 million kilowatt hours. And over the course of a few years, the budget deficit of 250,000 became a surplus of 1.8 million. The financial turnaround enabled the district to increase teacher salaries by up to $15,000, making Batesville one of the highest paying districts in the region. Superintendent Michael Hester highlighted that the solar project not only improved teacher retention and recruitment, but also provided educational opportunities for students to learn about renewable energy. This success story has inspired other school districts. And just to break that down further, a commenter nicely came on to sort of see if this really checks out with the numbers. And so here's the claim timeline. 2017, Batesville School District has a $250,000 deficit. They install 1,400 solar panels and do other energy and efficiency upgrades. Over 3 years, they go from the deficit to 1.8 million surplus. They raise teacher salaries by up to 15,000. So that's the claims we just went over. Is this true? Mostly yes, and here are the nuances. So they call this a fact check, but I think you're going to find that this backs it all up. Batesville School District did install a major solar energy system and make energy upgrades starting around 2017-2018. Reports, including from NPR, Forbes, and local Arkansas News, confirm that energy savings are around $300,000 to $400,000 per year. Over a few years, 3 to 4 years, these savings added up to around 1.8 million, aligning with the surplus figure we were given. And the superintendent Hester did highlight that they used the savings primarily to raise teacher salaries. Some teachers did in fact see a $15,000 raise, and it became the higher paying district. So $400,000 a year times 3 years equals 1.2 million, plus some additional savings or operational efficiencies could push that to 1.8. And then a $250,000 deficit would be wiped out in the first year or two. The total energy savings were not only from solar panels. It was a combo of solar plus LED lighting upgrades, HVAC upgrades, and better energy management. But the 1,400 solar panels number is accurate for the initial phase. And so I think this is just something that needs to be done everywhere. I mean, there's absolutely no school that wouldn't benefit from this. There isn't any kind of place that wouldn't benefit from covering every available solar inch with a solar panel. I don't.
Conservatives will have a problem with it. You know they will.
What's their objection going to be? I mean, I know they will. But what do you think?
They'll probably say for starters, their favorite one right now is, do you know how dangerous those are? How much you have to mine to get out of there? It's going to cost so much, and we're just helping China, or something like that. I could see that. All I can say, it kills birds. That seems to be something they love to say about fucking.
I know they say that about windmills.
Yeah.
Causes cancer.
Yeah, cause cancer. They say cause cancer. I've watched them say they're impossible to get rid of them. Yeah. I've heard conservatives talk how much they don't like this for a couple of years now. It is a good idea. Don't get me wrong; it's a brilliant idea. But
yeah, I think I'm gonna add that to our list of items that we push on here, because the universal basic income, solar everywhere. I mean, this is how we get out of the hole we're in now. These are 2 rungs on the ladder.
Mm-hmm.
And now, final story is perhaps the scariest story for us. We may have an impending worse than COVID collapse in our economic structure because of the trade war with China. So you may have seen this on Facebook, Brandon. This is coming from Houston Wade. Not a single international cargo ship is at the port of Seattle right now. The port of Seattle is effectively dead. The last ship from China will dock at a West Coast port on the 29th, and the last Chinese ship will dock on the East Coast around May 10th. After that, there will be no more shipments arriving from China. We're about to hit a level of scarcity at retailers nationwide that will make COVID seem like child's play.
Yeah.
So,
I hope that's not true.
Yeah.
And it's something I've been seeing warned about over the last few weeks, and it's something we'll be able to monitor ourselves. If you just go look out at the water at Seattle, and I know from out here in Port Orchard, we get up on the right hill, we'd always see tons of cargo ships, and I'll have to go take a look here.
I got a longshoreman buddy. I had to text him and be like, "What have you been doing at the last couple of days? Is it really dead up there?"
Yeah, no, just please ask that and send me a DM when you hear back.
Yeah, if that's really true, then he would know. So.
But this Houston Wade guy is another guy I'm going to start following. He's got a YouTube channel that covers this kind of stuff, so I think we'll post a link to that in the show description. But that's terrifying. I mean, I'm all for making more stuff at home, But without an investment in our infrastructure here and to set up manufacturing here, it's just the game, and we're all gonna suffer for it.
Okay.
So
yeah, they're using us as pawns.
Yep. So with that sour note, I think we're ready for a palate cleanser, Todd.
Alrighty. Let's see here. There we go.
Welcome to What's Cheap This Week, your go-to for the coolest in pop culture tech and nerdy news. Let's dive in.
All right, so I pulled up some stories this morning from my Feedly list. One of which is a show that I've really gotten into watching. It's only got like 6 episodes so far. It's the show called The Studio on Apple TV, and it is a Seth Rogen show where he plays like a studio executive, Matt Remick, and you see a lot of cameos from actual directors and actors. Episode before last, Ron Howard was on, and
that's awesome.
Yeah, so I mean, we've had some other directors. They mentioned the movies that these people were working on. And I was like, oh, I recognize that movie, but I don't have any idea who that guy is. But this is what it says here in this article. The Studio is Apple TV's smashing new comedy series, and fans of big franchises will love it, even though it doesn't belong to one. A satire about current state of movie making in Hollywood, The Studio follows Matt Remick, played by Seth Rogen, the newly promoted head of a fictional production company, Continental Studios. Matt faces obstacles from all directions as he strives to keep the studio afloat, working alongside fellow executive Sal Saperstein, played by Ike Barinholtz, head of marketing Maya Mason, played by Catherine Hahn. Let's see who else.
Oh, I love her. She's fantastic.
It's a great cast of people. And this last episode, it was really funny. He went on a date with a woman who was like a doctor. You know, she's a surgeon, right? And they're having a conversation about like the importance of their jobs. And he's like, you know, I think my job is just as important as you being a doctor, a surgeon. And he's like, no, people don't need movie directors and producers. They need doctors. So it was a really funny episode. And,
so theoretically, if one didn't have Apple Plus for purely educational reasons only, how would you go about watching this?
There are ways to find it if you know, you know, and you know.
Yar.
Yeah. There are apps you can get installed on your Fire Stick that allow you to watch things online. So yeah. You know, we could talk more about that offline, Doug. I'm not telling you how I did it. Next story I have here is that, you know, we're getting the final season of Stranger Things, and
I need to catch up.
I've never seen it. No, I watched the first 2 episodes.
I watched the first season.
The season 1 and 2 were really good. Seasons 3 and 4 they were entertaining, and the last season was. I didn't really like the last season.
The kids aren't cute anymore. They're too old now.
It says here, the recent Stranger Things foreshadow Broadway premiere, executive producer and director Sean Levy reflects on how emotional the final day of filming for the 5th final season of the Netflix.
Wait, did you say Broadway premiere?
Yeah.
There's a Stranger Things Broadway?
I guess so.
I wasn't trying to say anything. I'm like, is that normal? Am I supposed to know about that?
I mean, I was like, oh my God, it's on Broadway as I'm reading it. So, yeah, I do know that I have purposely avoided like reading a lot of the stories because I want to watch the series finale without any spoilers. I know that certain characters are gonna end being so, but I don't want to know how. So I haven't looked at any of those articles. But it sounds like it's going to be a really good final season. Let's see here. Is there like a release date? I think it's coming out.
I was gonna say, when does it air?
Let's see here. Looks like there's going to be a animated spin-off series, so that's going to be cool. Where is the final? It says the fifth and final season for Stranger Things will consist of 8 episodes and will be released in 2025. Stay tuned for updates. Blah blah blah. So I don't know. It doesn't have an actual date, but if you have,
I think I just found it.
If you're, what is it?
It looks like November 27th on Netflix.
That sounds about right. I think the last 2 seasons of it came out in the end of the year. I was going to say it was probably going to be end of the year, usually after September, I think. But yeah, no, I'm looking forward to seeing this. Season 4 was pretty good. I know that season 4 introduced a lot of people to Metallica who had never listened to Metallica, so they had.
There you go.
One of the main characters was a massive metalhead, and it takes place in the mid '80s, so it makes sense that he would be like jamming out to some what was this? It was not For Whom the Bell. Either way, it's an early Metallica song. I can't think of what it is right now.
That's okay.
Yeah, that's fine. The next thing I wanted to talk about is that Washington State SummerCon is coming in June, and they have. If you click that link, guys, you can see all of the. Oops, didn't mean to do that. You can see all the people that are going to be there, and let's see, where is it? There it is. I have it already pulled.
Is it the Instagram link?
It's the Instagram link. Yeah. And I'm sitting there trying to find it, and I already had it open. So amongst the people that I am excited to see, we have some of the cast of Biodome, and I'm more interested in seeing Joey Lauren Adams because she was in Mallrats and in Chasing Amy.
Oh God, Pauly Shore.
Pauly Shore, yeah. So they're gonna have the 3 or 4 top people from Biodome, which is Pauly Shore and the youngest Baldwin brother and Joey Lauren Adams. Steven, that's right.
They're speaking of religious nutcases. Stephen
Right?
Baldwin.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he's right up there with Hercules.
Kevin Sorbo.
Kevin Sorbo, yeah. And then we have
Disappointed.
William Shatner.
Shatner.
The Shat's gonna be there.
Shatner's coming back. This will be a second time at SummerCon. I missed him last time, and I'm gonna miss him again because I don't care.
He's just a fucking weirdo, man.
He's a dick.
I was surprised.
Exactly.
On Facebook right now, if going around as a Greenpeace ad asking for money for Greenpeace that William Shatner is doing.
Oh,
I'm like,
really?
I did not see him as that kind of a lefty, but apparently he's just an asshole, but has decent politics, I guess.
Yeah.
He's a major asshole.
So they have the cast. Yeah. They have the cast of both the Ninja Turtles '90s movie and the '80s cartoon, as well as the cast of X-Men '97. Which
they're trying to bring me out. They're trying to bring me out. That's what they're trying to do.
Data's there. Brent Spiner's there.
He was there last year for sure. If he's coming back, that's amazing because he was one of the cool people I got to talk to last year.
Oh wait, never mind. That was last year. Never mind.
Yeah. Of the ones that are
you missed your chance.
If you go down, if you go below Walter Koenig, you're gone too far. Everybody else above that is going to be. So yeah, Ninja Turtles, Reno 911, Biodome, X-Men, Shooter McGavin, who else? Has Been Hotel cast is going to be there. I never watched it.
I've never even seen a scene. Yeah,
I haven't either.
I've never heard of that. But,
they do have some wrestlers showing up. We have Paul, the Big Show is coming, and then who's this? Carmella. Leah Van Dale. Who else? I think those are the only two so far that they've announced as far as like.
But that's a good slate. Like that.
Yeah,
that's right.
Reno 911. Yeah.
I actually kind of want to meet him because I want to be like, did you come up with the name for your sitcom? Was it really going to be the Big Show? Really? Really? And we do have some Disney princesses coming. So the voice actresses for Jasmine and who's this? This is Pocahontas, and who else? I
wouldn't even know who those are.
The Little Mermaid voice actress, and
Alan Oppenheimer is going to be there. Looks like is that this year?
That's going to be that's coming up before SummerCon. Alan Oppenheimer is going to be at a Toy Con at the Peel Fairgrounds in a couple weeks actually. So,
how did they find? How did you decide on that voice for Skeletor? I want to know what kind of pitch that was.
That's a good question, man. So yeah, he's going to be at the pre-SummerCon event. It's like a toy convention. He's going to be there. Melody Britt, who is She-Ra. We have Keon Young, who was Storm Shadow, and Jack Hoffman, who was Zartan from the original G.I. Joe series. I'm probably going to try to get to that too because I want to meet Oppenheimer. Because
years ago I did a show with Jim Cummings.
I actually met Jim Cummings last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've done a couple shows with him. He used to come down to the Tacoma Comedy Underground once in a while. Really? And he'd do shows. Yeah.
That was the venue that was in the basement of the Big Whiskey. Is that that one?
Yes.
Yeah. Where Chris Brandon, rest in peace, used to.
Yes.
Was he doing comedy?
That's right. He was a comedian.
I didn't realize he was. I know he's a musician.
Yeah.
I didn't know he was a comedian. Yeah. But and then of course Pinky and the Brain, and I've met Rob Paulson before, but I'm really looking forward to meeting Maurice LaMarche, the Brain, as well as Egon Spengler and the Real Ghostbusters. So that is gonna be cool. And the last couple things I have here is they released the trailer for the live-action Lilo and Stitch, and I watched it earlier today, and I have to admit, it does look really good. And I enjoyed the original movie, so I don't suspect it's going to be too terrible anyway. I mean, the last two live-action remakes of a Disney film have been all right. They weren't like, oh my god, I need to see this again.
I have not needed them whatsoever, but the one for Lilo and Stitch actually looks kind of fun. I have two kids, so I'm looking forward to it.
The actor who does the voice of Lilo and of Stitch was the director and creator of the original movie, so I think he's also coming back to play the part. I don't know if he's actually doing the directing and the writing and all that, but he is playing the part of Stitch.
I just saw that Don Bluth is going to be there.
Oh,
yes,
that is holy shit level. That is actually holy shit level. That is okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna be eating ramen for the rest of the year just so I can go to these conventions. So,
wow, that's a big name.
Yeah. That's the guy for me. More than Disney.
That convention has gotten some really cool names over the last 6 years. Since they
because Don Bluth is like Land Before Time and Five Will Goes West and that stuff, right?
Yeah. He did Dragon's Lair, All Dogs Go to Heaven. Yeah. Anastasia.
All those movies that people thought were Disney but weren't.
Right, exactly.
So.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just looked up and saw that. I was like, my time out.
Last story I have here is something that Doug found. Do you want to talk about this, Doug?
I could talk about it real quick, sure. Basically, Netflix is going to be adding captions designed for people that aren't hearing impaired. So just if you just want the captions on to see the dialogue.
I'm
happy. I can't hear without my subtitles.
Exactly, but what it's going to do is it's only going to give the dialogue, so it's not going to have all the music intensifies.
Walks into a room, turns around, and smiles.
It's not going to have all the stage direction and other audio cues. It's just going to be the dialogue, and that's perfect. I'm excited for that. They're going to roll it out with new shows, and then they might go backwards and retroactively do it to old ones.
Is it that we can't hear anymore, or audio just done worse these days?
Well, no. What they say it is back in the day, you used to do very very enunciated speech in shows. Now everything is more natural, and people might speak softly, or they might speak quickly, or they speak with an accent. And shows aren't made to make sure like it used to be. Shows were done almost like a stage play where you have to speak loud and clear, and you do the mid-Atlantic accent and and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But now everything's based in realism, and you're not going to catch everything.
Yeah.
And we just recently turned subtitles on here at my house too.
Or your ADHD is really starting to kind of come into its own, and you have to be able to see it in order to really process that. Because that's what it is for me. Because I hated subtitles for the longest time. I did.
Because I read the story instead of paying attention to what's on.
Because the problem for me has been like the subtitles will pop up and go away before my brain has a chance to actually process what I'm seeing. So like,
I watched a lot of anime, so I had to learn to do that.
And I'm absolutely a dubbed guy because of that.
Well, you're not fluent in Japanese, Brandon?
That's racist. I'm just kidding.
Wait a minute. How would he know? How would he know Japanese? Aren't you Filipino?
I'm half Japanese.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Next, ask me to know kung fu or some shit. I'm just kidding.
And he's really good with
3
math.
years of Japanese. I took 3 years of Japanese, and I couldn't do it.
I did like 6 months, and I was like,
I actually got my. I don't know if you guys saw them advertised over the last few months, but there's these things that they've been going everywhere. It's these headphones that do like live translations for you. I got some of those headphones, and I was watching.
like a babblefish.
Kinda, yeah. So you basically have
that's some Star Trek shit.
That's some
That's some Douglas Adams.
Yeah.
Hitchhiker's
Guide to the Universe thing, but
no.
But yeah, some Star Trek shit too. But no, this you have this app on your phone that when you pair up these specific types of headphones, you can have it turned on, and it will replay what is being said from whatever language to English. The thing I have the problem is that unless you have your phone right next to the speaker of your TV or have the volume so fucking loud, it doesn't always catch everything. Or maybe that was the problem. It was too loud and it was not catching it.
Getting everything.
So I was watching something with like I was watching Shogun on Hulu, the new one.
Yeah.
And it's all in Japanese, and I'm like, oh man, I was looking forward to watching this because I heard it's really good. But I was like, I don't want to read subtitles because of language barrier.
I'm here for a TV, not a book.
Yeah, to quote Beavis and Butthead, if I wanted to read, I'd get a book. But yeah, no, I just because of the ADHD, this is something I've discovered in the last 4 years. Is I don't hate subtitles because I can't read. It's that my brain doesn't process it quickly. It goes up and goes away. I have to pause, rewind, pause it again, read what's being said, and then hit play. It sucks. So yeah. So, and that's part of the reason why I never got into anime is because the whole sub versus dub thing really pissed me off. Like, you know what? Fuck you guys. I'm not going to...
These days, dubs aren't bad. Back in the day, dubs were terrible.
Well, yeah. I mean, I remember watching Japanese cartoons back in the 70s and 80s, and they were absolutely terrible. Watching Bruce Lee movies were fucking terrible for the same reason.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you enjoyed the ridiculousness of it.
People would actively mock those movies because of the bad synchronization of the lips.
That's why I love the movie Kung Pao so much, though.
I have not seen that, but I gotta see that.
Kung Pao into the Pit.
I've been saving it.
Doug,
it's a huge part of my childhood. I love that movie.
You got to get that movie on DVD. There's an audio track that is what they're actually saying, because what he did in that movie is like he took two other Japanese kung fu movies and they made a new movie out of them and inserted himself.
It's like Power Rangers.
The guy who made Thumb Wars.
Yeah, the guy who made Thumb Wars and Ace Ventura 2. So
yeah.
Okay.
So what he did is he wrote two sets of dialogue. He wrote what the lips were actually doing, and then the dialogue of what we're hearing when we're watching the movie. And then at one point in the movie, he's actually reading off his laundry list.
Honestly, I still quote that movie all the time to my friends. I'm like, wee. They're like, what?
Yeah.
Or ignore him. We turned him wrong on purpose. How's a joke?
It is so funny.
I'm so out of the loop on this.
Oh my god, Doug, you should absolutely buy it. Just buy it. Don't rent it. Get it. Buy it.
Me and my best friend at the time, we went to this movie theater. Before we even smoked. I never smoked weed back then, which shows how funny this was. Like 5 minutes in the movie, we were like, that paid for the ticket. We're good. The rest of the movie could suck. We're happy.
Just to give you an idea, Doug, in the opening sequence of the movie, this woman walks up to like.
Just let him see it. Just let him see it. No, just let him see it. He doesn't watch it. Yeah.
No. Oh, come on! I gotta tell him this one thing. I gotta tell this one thing.
No, it's the first joke in the movie. Just let him see it.
Okay. No spoilers then. Go.
Yeah, just that. Just let him see it. Like, it's a great joke. It's a great sight gag. It's one of the best sight gags.
There's so many.
Like I said, me and my best friend were like done. We were like on the ground. We were just dead.
So many,
like, that was hilarious.
so many things happening in the background of the movie. You're gonna watch it more than once just because you want to see if you missed anything.
Dude, the fish skeleton. I know. When he's like, why is he holding a fish skeleton?
Or the Sifu eating the bug as he's talking.
Oh shit! The whole fucking movie.
This guy is talking, all of a sudden this bug like lands on his cheek and climbs into his mouth.
Well, it was an excuse of why the character started coughing.
Yeah,
it's like it's a whole sight gag thing.
Yeah, it's really funny. So, and I think that is
all right.
it
We
for
ready to
today.
get into some weird shit?
Oh, that's right, the weird shit. This is some weird shit, right?
Welcome to That's Some Weird Shit, where we dig up the craziest, quirkiest stories and make you go, what the heck just happened? Buckle up, it's about to get weird.
All right. That's it for that.
And I promise, Brandon, when we listen back to the podcast, you can hear those better. They don't sound like that.
I'm sure. I'm sure.
No, so there's a couple websites that I have on my feedly list I grabbed because at one point when I was doing another podcast, I wanted to do kind of like Florida Man type stories. So this first one, I just saw the title of it and I was like, I have to pull this up. I haven't even read it yet. It says, world's first robot half marathon proves humanoid robots have a long way to go. And there's a video of a humanoid robot in a marathon. And
these videos always look like AI to me. I can
they
never tell
do,
if they're
right?
real.
And I'm sitting there looking, and the thing is, every time I see something like this, I go, this is either AI or it's from a really bad science fiction show on the Sci-Fi Channel, or it's from Beijing. So, and this one is on April 20th around 7:30, 21 robots from Beijing, Shanghai, and set off to complete their first ever half marathon. But the dreams of the human handlers accompanying them quickly turned into dust. Most media outlets only focused on the positive, reporting the robots took part in the event. But NDTV went into detail how they actually performed.
So how'd the experiment go? Well, they participated.
They were there. They crossed the starting line. I mean,
I'm seeing some of these images.
Oh my god!
I know, I'm dying.
Oh, here's video. Here's actual video. Okay.
But I see one robot on its knees, just parts shattered.
Oh man.
This is why AI is gonna kill us.
I mean,
they're gonna look at this and be like, "Oh, you thought this was funny, you fuckers."
The still image from the YouTube video that's on this page, that robot looks like it could have been like like a robot bodyguard for what's her face, Nancy Kerrigan. I guess his forearms look like batons, man. It's like he's the kind of robot who would be running up next to the other ones and just beat the hell out of him as he walks by.
Oh, I see this guy. He's got nubs for hands. And...
Yeah.
What?
Scroll down a little bit.
Definitely not Boston Dynamics.
Yeah. I don't know,
This
man.
is more like...
This is just fucking weird. Let me see.
This is more like Philadelphia Dynamics.
So there's
Arkansas Dynamics.
Okay. I'll post this link on our social media so you guys at home that are listening can check this out for yourself. because there's one robot in the video that I was just watching showing there was 3 people that were accompanying this robot, one on either side of it and one behind it. The guy behind it was holding like what looked like it could have been like the Steam Deck or like a Switch as a controller. So, and then there was just another one that looked like it might have been like a much smaller robot, like half the size of the average sized human. And just kind of walking really fast, speed walking almost. It's not even running, but some of these things. Oh my God. Okay, next story. Japan apparently has figured out how to cause lightning strikes, folks.
I see this headline, and that one piqued my interest for sure.
Right?
Like, are they controlling the weather now?
So it says,
oh my God, was Marjorie Green right?
Oh my God. So it says, yes, really, since nearly all videos. Wait, this is a different video story entirely. Hold on. Here we go. You what the hell? Did I open up the same fucking thing twice? I did. Come on, Todd, work with me here. Did I post it twice? No.
But you're going into Japan's world's
there
first
we go.
successful
Finally got
lightning
it to
triggering.
open. I kept opening the wrong fucking one. There we go. This might also be useful for defending against attacks from King Ghidorah. Or Ghidorah, however it's pronounced. It says here, world's first successful lightning triggering and guiding using a drone. And it looks like it's a video. It says, NTT has become the first in the world to successfully trigger and guide lightning using a drone. This experiment also demonstrated under natural lightning conditions the effectiveness of both the drone's lightning protected technology and the electric field-based lightning triggered method. These results are expected to contribute to further research on all still mysterious mechanisms of lightning and to help reduce lightning-related damage to cities and peoples. Now, that's cool that that's the intent of this, but you know for a fact this shit's going to be used as a weapon.
Yeah, bring a lightning strike down on a building or...
I was about to say, why are we doing this?
I mean, it sounds like they're using it to like deflect lightning storms from buildings to, keep them safe.
That's a good reason to do it.
It says the method involves flying drones into optimal positions beneath thunderclouds to actively trigger lightning strikes and then guiding the discharge safely away from vulnerable areas. You always want to keep the discharge away from vulnerable areas.
Or like you said, we can make Thor's hammer.
Right?
Yeah. Alternatively.
Yeah, what'd you guys name this drone? Mjolnir?
Yeah.
Oh my God, they absolutely should do that if they. Well, if the Japanese don't do it, then the people of Norway should actually come up with their own and call it Thor's hammer.
Yeah, I mean, for God's sake, if somebody's calling out lightning on top of you, that's pretty effective.
Keep the discharge from Thor's hammer away from vulnerable areas.
Right? Let's see here. Oh, and the last story I have is it's a video of a 6-year-old birthday party. And if you guys watch the video, you'll see when the clown walks into the room. And then
now?
The last link on the doc there is a,
oh God, what the? Why? See, this is why it's a cult. This is
so.
This is a cult. This is not normal. This is not strange. Yeah, it's not. Yeah, this is very. Like I said, this is strange. This is.
You want to describe what you're seeing?
There's literally a guy coming into a children's birthday party dressed as Donald friggin' Trump, and the kids like running around screaming happy as hell.
And one of the comments on there that's got a lot of likes is actually my comment. Is I mean, he is the most famous clown right now.
That
he
is
a clown.
True.
He's definitely a fucking clown.
Oh my God, that is all right. My faith in humanity has been shattered just a little bit more.
Mission accomplished.
And the guy that posted it says 10 out of 10, no notes. He liked my comment. I mean, when I first saw it, I was like, maybe this is a Republican family, or maybe this is somebody who just really doesn't like Trump and knows the kid thinks that Trump is a goofball and is.
Yeah, unfortunately, I doubt it. They didn't even indoctrinate these children. I'll bet you this kid thinks that Donald Trump's the second coming of Jesus Christ, just like his parents do.
Yeah, children notoriously susceptible to propaganda.
Yes, they are.
Yes.
Well, before we wrap this up for the week, Brandon, do you have anything you'd like to plug? Any places we can follow you on social media?
Not right now. I plan to get back into streaming sooner or later, but for now, not really.
Fair enough. But for those of you,
where were you streaming when you were doing it?
I was streaming on Twitch, but I haven't done that in like 2.5, 3 years, probably even longer. I just got a whole new computer, so now I can stream again. I just bought a $3,600 rig here, so I can finally play modern games again.
Nice.
Because I could not do that for like 3 or 4 years.
Well, let us know when you start doing that again, and we'll definitely plug it here on the show. For those of you listening, please like and subscribe. Leave a comment on the YouTube. There's an audio-only version and a video version. You can find us anywhere on your podcasts. And any last words from you, Todd?
No, I mean, you covered all the bases, and thanks for coming on the podcast, Brandon. It's good talking to you. It's been a long time since we've talked, and
Yep. Thanks for having me.
I honestly didn't recognize you at first because the last time I saw you, you had very short hair, like shorter than mine. So.
A lot less hair, yeah. No facial hair and short hair.
Wait, that's Brandon? Yeah. So.
Yep.
He's in witness protection agency. He's trying to stay away from those crazy.
They don't recognize him anymore, so he's safe. All right.
Well, we got a little outro we're going to play, and then we'll say goodbye off air.
Okay.